What's up, everybody? Give me just a second. Let me tap in with my mentor.
Mic check, mic check. Good morning, everyone. Can you guys hear me and see my screen? What's up, everyone? Good morning. Zoom's good. Discord is good as well. Awesome. All right, let's get this recorded and we will
Recording
get
in progress.
All righty. Glad to be back as well. So for the overall market, just a quick overview. We had a lot of red folder news this week. We just had some more red folder news, which was at 8:30 ADP non-farm enrollment. We have actually some more red folder at 10 a.m. here as well. With the overall markets, you can see this is technically the first sign of momentum slowing down on the higher time frames. So for the NQ, if we're looking at this, this is technically the first day where we actually had a close underneath its previous candle. So when we ever look at this, like on the 1 minute time frame, like a bar by bar, a sign of momentum slowing down is when we have the daily candle, like a candle close underneath its previous candle. And we actually just got that yesterday. So this is your first sign of momentum slowing down towards the upside, at least. You can see so far we're kind of accelerating towards the downside. But for the overall markets coming into today, the key levels that I'm going to have marked out on the NQ is going to be this 23,100. This is the area I'm going to keep an eye out on. If we can maintain underneath this, potentially we can see all the way down in towards that 22,850. As for the ES, the key level today is going to be this 63.30. If you maintain underneath, so far you can see a little bit of a rejection here in the pre-market. Pre-market lows in play, and then potentially all the way down in towards your 62.60. As for upside, right, since we do have this pretty big gap towards the downside, I'm only interested in upside if we can reclaim back above our 63.30 this morning. For the QQQ, similar thing, reclaim back above our opening range. Also has to reclaim this 23,100. As for the overall SPY chart, the key level coming to today is going to be this 626. This is going to be the key level we have to reclaim if we want to see some more upside, or if we end up rejecting off this level, we can see your pre-market lows here and below. We'll just wait for the first kind of 10 to 15 minutes to see the overall reaction on the markets. As for the QQQ, 560 is going to be key. Reclaim above 560. You can see a push back up and towards your previous day close. Rejection off your 560. And if the markets do stay heavy, 557 and below is potentially in play. As for some of the watches I'm keeping an eye out on coming into this morning, as for some upside, I'm only interested if we can reclaim on some of these names. So NVIDIA, I'm only interested if we can reclaim back above your 175 for potential continue push higher. Meta, similar thing. It's a little bit farther away now, but I personally like to see it reclaim its previous day lows along with its 770. And then for AMD, this one looks decent if you can get kind of this mean reversion bounce off of your 169. That's also in play for a potential push back up and towards your 175. As for some downside, right, as you guys know, we haven't been looking at any names towards the downside just because the overall higher time frame has been bullish. But this is the first time, in my opinion, with the markets showing a little bit more weakness now. So I'm a little bit more open to playing both sides of the markets. So for Tesla, potential rejection off your previous day low, we have room down in towards your 301. So we'll keep an eye out on Tesla. Amazon had bad earnings, pop and fade. This one, IV flush for a potential move down in towards your pre-market lows and below. And then Netflix here as well, only if it can get underneath this 1155. So markets are about to open here in about 20 seconds. We're going to keep an eye out on in NVIDIA along with AMD. If it wants to reclaim, the only tickers I'm interested in looking for continuation lower is Tesla if it rejects off your 307. And then we can keep an eye out on Amazon for a potential pop and fade. This one, we need an IV flush with earnings.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yo, what's up?
What's good? Yeah, coming into the day, same kind of thesis as Jack. One of the main things for me, on top of what he already said, is really waiting for the first 5 minutes here. Obviously, Apple had earnings yesterday as well, but waiting for really the first 5 minutes to develop and see which way the market does want to move. Of course, the market is moving lower after all-time highs from yesterday, and then especially today again, we're gapping down. So I do want to see what type of price action we put in within the first 5 minutes to really develop a proper thesis. Today is Friday, so we're going to be a little bit more careful as well. However, a potential that I could be looking for is also Apple for a move to the upside. That would be above that 212.35 level, or basically pre-market high. That is something that we could be potentially looking for if that one does show strength. Other than that, obviously, we'll wait for the first 5 minutes to see which way the market overall wants to move. If stock does show relative strength, we can look to take it. I would like SPY above 620, 625s. I would like QQQ above 559.56. Those are the two levels that I would like for a reclaim for a move back to the upside. However, if we do see weak price action, we can look for a short position as well. But coming into the open so far, we can see Tesla actually showing a strong push to the upside. We'll see if this one can continue this trend to the upside, and then we'll see if Qs and SPYs does want to bounce back up into that 559 level.
Yeah, so currently so far within the first minute, SPY rejecting off a key level, Qs coming down in towards our pre-market lows here. For Tesla and Amazon, we'll see how these 5-minute candle closes, but it's coming right up in towards key levels here. Tesla 307.50, Amazon potential pop and fade is still in play here if we reject off this 218.50.
For those of you on TikTok, you may not be able to see this clearly, but in the upper left, this is QQQ. To the right is Tesla. Below Tesla is Amazon. And then to the left of Amazon is NVIDIA.
59.50s, like I said. Apple now showing strength. This one did have earnings yesterday as well. Buyers stepping in on Apple. What you would be looking for is basically a break above the pre-market high. So pre-market break above and retest. Tesla also slowly moving to the upside. NVIDIA not doing too much so far. AMD, a little bit of a push to the upside as well. SPY actually coming back down. So SPY rejected off 626 25s. Reject coming back into that pre-market low. We're currently trying to break below the pre-market low. So we'll see what happens on SPY and QQQ here as well.
Yeah, SPY showing a little bit of weakness here. Right now, it's at your pre-market lows. Let's see how this candle closes here. As for the QQQ, right down in towards your pre-market lows here as well. Let's keep an eye out on Amazon. I'll be interested for potential continuation lower. 217s are in play here for Amazon. 217.50 puts.
He was coming back down here. SPY coming down. Tesla broke back below as well.
Yeah, Tesla looks good here as well. So far, kind of rejecting off this 307. Now it's trying to get back underneath this previous day low 306. If it has a weak candle closure here, we could also be looking for Tesla continuation down in towards your pre-market lows.
Yeah, both SPY and QQ right at a key level. So SPY right at pre-market low, same with Qs at pre-market low. We'll see if this one can break back down below on SPY and Qs. Apple slowly coming back down. Tesla breaking below as well. NVIDIA not really doing too much. Same with AMD. So we'll kind of keep an eye out on the main names that are trying to either move to the upside or to the downside. So far, Tesla is the one that's moving to the downside aggressively.
Yeah, let's see if there's any sort of reaction here on the QQQ. Right now, it's currently right at your previous day low. Tesla, you can keep an eye out on the 302.50s, the 302.50s for a potential push down in towards your pre-market lows. All right, so let's see if Q stays heavy here. Key level is going to be this 557. And then for the SPY, it's going to be this 624.83, which is your pre-market low. So far, you can see SPY is a little bit weaker than the QQQ in itself.
Apple so far moving back to the downside as well. QQQ now back below pre-market low. Retest level would be the pre-market low on QQQ. Tesla, the retest would be 306.14. This is going to be the previous day low for Tesla. 306.14 would be the retest level on Tesla. NVIDIA is still kind of in the range of the first 5 minutes, same with AMD. And then SPY, the retest would also be the pre-market low on SPY. So QQQ and SPY pre-market low is going to be the retest. And then on Tesla, it will be the previous day low, which is 306.14s. Let's see if Tesla can come back into this level. Q's, a little bit of buyers stepping up on Q's here so far.
Yeah, so both SPY and Qs are going to come back up and towards your pre-market lows here. That's going to be key if you want to see some more continuation lower. Pre-market lows here on both the SPY and the QQQ. I don't really see too many short setups as of yet. For Amazon, still underneath this 218.50, but it's going to have to show a little bit more weaker price action. Similar here with Tesla underneath their previous day lows, which is your 306. As long as it's underneath their previous day lows, we can be looking for continuation lower here as well. But we like to see the retest off that level.
All right, so Q's right back into that retest level near that pre-market low. This is the exact level you want to see QQQ hold for the move to the downside. For SPY, that's going to be 624.85. Still got a little bit of room for that on SPY. Apple coming back down. Tesla, the retest level is going to be the previous day low, 306.14. This one is still a little bit further away from that one. We want to see that retest on Tesla. And then NVIDIA and AMD still within the first 5 minute range. So not really doing too much. The main watch today so far is going to be QQQ pre-market low, SPY pre-market low, and then Tesla previous day low.
Yeah, if Q's ends up rejecting off this pre-market low level here, we can keep an eye out on Tesla, the 302.50s currently, or we can keep an eye on Amazon here as well. The 302.50s, or you can look at the 305s here on Tesla. All right, so Qs continue to show a little bit of weakness here. You can see SPY underneath your pre-market lows, Qs rejection off your pre-market lows here. It seems like SPY and Qs kind of leading towards the downside as of yet.
So Q so far rejecting, Tesla coming back down a little bit here as well. Really what we're going to be looking for now is going to be either the continuation retest because Tesla wasn't able to come back into the proper retest level. Same with SPY. These ones just kind of rejecting. Qs came close as well. Now the next kind of retest would be the one candle rule for most of these. So on QQQ, that's going to be the 937 candles. Same with SPY. The 937 candle, up close candle for a move to the downside is going to be what we're looking for. Apple also broke below the previous day high as well now. So you can look for the Apple previous day high retest to the downside. And then on Tesla, you just want to see continuation to the downside and then the retest of low of day that we're currently putting in right now. Let's see what happens here. So far, Apple, Tesla, Q, and SPY a little bit weaker.
So yeah, you can see the overall market showing a little bit more weakness here. Most pops have been shorted. Tesla looks decent if you can get an entry around this 303, or your risk would be that 306. The key levels for most of these names now are going to be your pre-market low. So NVIDIA pre-market low, Tesla pre-market low, and then Apple, similar thing, pre-market low here as well.
So far, everything kind of moving to the downside. What we want now is really just the retest. We'll wait to see if Tesla obviously can retest back into this 303.50-ish area. Qs, once again, one candle rule, Apple previous day high, and then SPY one candle rule as well. A lot of these names now, even NVIDIA breaking back below the 5-minute low as well. So we'll kind of keep an eye out. Most of the names today, once again, bearish downside, so we want to look for that bearish move today, even though higher time frame we're near all-time highs. Intraday, yesterday and today, just bearish. Therefore, that's why we're looking for the downside move. So let's keep an eye out on Tesla 303.50s, Apple potentially previous day high retest, and then QQ one candle rule retest.
Really quickly, everyone, this replay will be available. All you have to do is DM me. It will be available as soon as the session is over. Okay, so if you can't stay the entire session, no worries. Just DM me for the replay. It will be available as soon as the session is over. Really quick, for those of you who just joined TikTok Live, in the upper left-hand corner on the chart is QQQ. To the right is Tesla here. And below Tesla is Apple, and to the left of Apple is NVIDIA.
Keep an eye out for anything that really retests. That's what we're going to be looking for.
You could also keep an eye out on NVIDIA. It's going to be your pre-market lows in this 5-minute range low here as well, 172.50s. At least for the overall market, I don't really have any key levels of support until all the way down in towards this 22,800 here on the NQ. For the ES, as you can see, it's kind of gravitating down in towards this key level right now. All right, let's keep an eye on Tesla here. 302.50s.
Yeah, this Tesla retest, we want to see the 302.50s basically hit. We want to see weak price action. If we can get weak price action, we can look for the downside on Tesla. Let's see this retest here. Let's see if we can get weak price action. For the contracts we can actually be looking for, we can look at the 302.50 puts, the 302.50 puts on Tesla. I'm going to be looking at the 302.50 puts. Let's see if we can get weak price action here. Q's a little bit of a reaction here as well. Let's see what Tesla does here. Once again, looking at the 302.50 puts. Just need to see a little bit weaker price action near this kind of reject level. You can also mark out the one candle rule right above this 303.50 level.
Yeah, I took some of the 302.50s here on Tesla. Risk is going to be a break above your 5-minute range.
Yes, I was about to say yes, same, and within the same candle, it hit low of day. But yeah, it took the 302.50 puts on Tesla, already hit low of day. You can see that nice reject off that 303.50 so far. Low of day already hit on Tesla. We always talk about how the short side move is always faster than the upside move, right? It's an elevator down, stair step up. So this one already hit low of day on Tesla. Let's see if we can get that continuation on this move to the downside. Nice rejection off that 303.50 level so far. If Qs can continue this trend to the downside. Next level I have on Tesla is the 301.50 level. And then I have 360s after that. So 301.50s and then 360s after that.
Yeah, QQQ, you like to now see stay heavy underneath this 554.40s.
Tesla, a little bit of buyer stepping in right off that low of day level, 302. QQQ still moving back to the downside. NVIDIA moving back to the downside. Same with AMD. SPY, really nice move to the downside on SPY so far. Next level I have on SPY is just 620.50s is going to be the next level on SPY. QQQ, nice push down so far. Like I said, Apple currently hitting the previous day low. Apple right at previous day low. That's where Apple is currently. And then Tesla now a little bit consolidation, buyer stepping up right into that 302 area. If we can get a break back below the 302 area, we want to see that 301 and then 360 as well.
Yeah, overall market still showing a little bit of weakness here. You can see SPY and Qs, more continuation. Next level on the QQQs down in towards is 552. As for SPY, next level I do have is going to be the 620.
Yeah, NVIDIA, hard reject on NVIDIA right there. 170.80s just went from 170.80s to 171, or sorry, 171.80s to 171s. Hard rejection on NVIDIA there. AMD just hit a previous level of support. Apple right at that previous day low. Qs still, we want to see this kind of continued push to the downside on Qs.
Yeah, QQQ, that was also your first down close candle as well, that 554. So now that's our key level of resistance, at least on the 1-minute time frame, 554.40s.
Let's see Tesla here. Let's see if we can hit that new low of day.
What I'd like to see on the overall market, pop and fade off this 1 minute down close candle here on the Qs. For Tesla, we like to see it stay heavy underneath this 303.50. Let's see if we can get that flush here.
Q's coming back up into that one candle rule. Let's see what happens on Q's one candle rule so far. You can see buyers stepping up on Q's. This is the level we'd like to see it reject. Tesla, you can see a little bit of buyers coming in near that low of day level. Let's see if Q's rejects here. NVIDIA coming back into that 172.24. This is going to be the key level that you want to see NVIDIA reject. AMD previous day low 168.67s. This is where you want to see AMD reject as well. SPY still overall pretty weak. QQQ rejecting that one candle rule that we were talking about earlier. Apple breaking below the previous day low. Tesla, a little bit of consolidation here near the 303.50s. We want to see that brand new low of day on Tesla with Qs coming back down to low of day and rejecting that one candle rule. There we go. Q's rejecting. Brand new low of day coming in on QQQ. Let's see if Tesla can give us a brand new low of day here.
Yeah, pre-market lows is just below 301.50s here. I like to see a flush on the QQQ along with Tesla.
All right, here's low of day on Tesla.
Yeah, look to scale some down into this 301.50s.
Yep.
There's your drop.
There
There's
we
your
go.
pre-market low.
Yep, just took some off here. This is my first scale on Tesla. On the last one, I didn't scale at low of day. It was just a little bit too quick, but finally just scaled here on Tesla. First scale for me. Just scaled some here at low of day on Tesla. If you're in this trade, scale some here. Nice low of day drop right into that pre-market low.
Let's see if this candle closes weak with the Qs rejecting. We can see 300s fairly quick here. But this is a very key
Nice
level,
drop on
pre-market
Tesla.
lows, yeah.
This is a key level right at that pre-market low, by the way. That's why you want to scale some. If this can break below pre-market low, next level it has is 360s. Q's right at low of day as well.
Yeah, this one looks heavy. Let's see if we can get that flush here. If we can close underneath your pre-market lows.
You can see buyers kind of stepping in right into that pre-market low level. That's why we scaled some here at the pre-market low level. Now what we want to see is Tesla remain heavy below 302s. If it can remain heavy below 302s, we can still look for that continuation to the downside. Let's see what happens with Qs here, coming back into that one candle rule.
For Tesla now, we just like to see it maintained underneath this 302. Preferably, it stays heavy with the market popping here.
Yeah, this one does have weakness. You can see one candle rule also rejecting here on QQQ. If Tesla can break below now, this one has weakness. We can go right into three. There we go. Let's see this nice break right into 301s right there, actually. 301s on Tesla here.
Rejection on QQQ as well.
I took a little bit more off here. Nice move to the downside on Tesla. Took a little bit more off. Solid. Now our next level is 360s on Tesla. 360s on Tesla is going to be our next level. Was anyone able to take Tesla there? This was like the first short trade I took in a minute, probably over a month, maybe 2 months.
Oh, it's
honestly.
been like, yeah, ever since that rally, it's been like April.
Bro, honestly, I don't know the last time I took a short trade, but solid way to start the month here.
Yeah, this should have continuation. Like you can see Qs, this one's just staying heavy. Let's see if we can get that flush with the QQQs right at this 1 minute order block.
Tesla right near low of day.
Qs, let's see if we can reject here. Tesla 3. Let's see if we can get that push down toward 300 here.
All right, this is the key level coming up on Tesla 360s. This is all right, just hit there, 360s. 360 just hit there on Tesla. That's the key level. That is the key
Beautiful.
level on Tesla.
Yep. Q stalling here
Still
now.
more out
Tesla,
there.
yeah, that was awesome. Right there, 300. It's your low back from July the 24th. Yeah, so we push. Con's almost at $4 a contract now. Yeah, this is your key level 350. This is your Thursdays, basically July the 24th lows. I do expect a little bit of reaction here. So far, the Q's staying heavy. So potentially if the Q's rejects, Tesla could see some more downside as well. But this is your key level 339. Just a quick little overview now for the Qs, right? If we stay heavy, 552s in play. Tesla, as you can see right here, this is your last Thursday's lows. Underneath this, it's technically all the way down here, 293. So after this, we can mark out other key levels here as well, but this is a key level.
Yeah, Q's just kind of consolidating now, but you can see that kind of relative weakness. But Tesla hit our main targets. Main targets hit on Tesla, so that's going to be it for Tesla here as well. Solid way to start off I actually forgot it was August 1st. A solid way to start off the brand new month. Like I said, August typically slower month, but obviously we came in with a bet. Damn.
Beautiful. Look at that.
All
With the
right,
Q's
Tesla.
rejection. Awesome.
All right, Tesla, my bad. Damn. Took some more off there on Tesla. All right, I only got 10 contracts left now. That last move down was actually kind of nice.
Yeah, Q's rejecting perfectly as well. Oh, look at that lower wick.
I was actually able to scale on that. That was actually nice. Solid trade. Good way to start off the month. Short side, short an all-time high.
No, I did say that's the first time. Whenever it goes short, just know that's when the market flips. Yeah, Tesla got room. Look at Q's perfect rejection off that 554 we talked about. Tesla, there's room. Next level, all the way down and towards, look at that. 293s, 294s really. With the QQQ flush, look at that. Right into that 552 we talked about. QQQ 619 here. Tesla, just scale along the ways when you're playing zeros, right? 298, 297, 294 on the higher time frames. Contracts at $5 a con now, 100%.
Damn, let's go. Solid.
Yeah, Q's nice push down and towards that 552. Sweet. Beautiful trade.
$2.99 hit there on Tesla, $2.99 whole site. Q's dropping here as well. Nice.
Look at
Nice,
that.
nice, nice.
Beautiful.
All right. Is anyone still holding Tesla? Let's read the chat. I didn't read the chat the whole time. All right, for Tesla now, like I said, I have 10 contracts left on Tesla. I only have 10 contracts left. Sold basically the full thing. Nice drop on Tesla. 10 contracts left for me. Next level I'm going to be looking for is 298, 297, and basically just full cycle numbers. But solid drop so far on Tesla. Just close all. Nice. 10 cons, nice. Cool. So yeah, on Tesla now, this one just dropping really nicely to the downside. This one, you just basically want to, that's the thing, right? I literally said it when we entered. When you enter a short position, it's always an elevator down compared to when you enter a long position, it's kind of stair step up where it's like slowly going up. Whereas the short position usually works very quickly, but that's why sometimes it's a little bit harder to enter because of how fast it does move to the downside.
Yeah.
Obviously,
I was going to say, whenever we go for the short side, sometimes our entry is a little bit more aggressive because if you wait for confirmation, right, a lot of times it'll already be at low of day. So if it touches a level and it rejects, then that's usually a good sign it's going to continue to stay heavy. It's just the entry model. It's basically the exact same thing towards the downside, but sometimes you got to be a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
Look at that, Q's right in towards our key level. We talked about this flip that was potentially happening in the overall markets as well. With that first down close candle, right, that's when we started being a little bit more cautious on the momentum. Now you can see it's going to pull back down in towards key levels, really next levels. Potentially we can see, honestly, this retest. We'll see in the next kind of couple of weeks, but really solid push down so far on the QQQ. It's about to hit some of our main levels, 620 today, and then really 552 right in that pre-market prep that we talked about. Tesla bounced right off one of our key. Yep, look at that. Kind of buyers stepping in right off 552 mini bounce. For Tesla now, key level is going to be your 300 key psych. You can see a little bit of buyers stepping in here on SPY right off our key level of demand as well. Perfectly right off that 620. So that was basically framed out very nicely here on the major indices.
Yep. So it's interesting because if August is starting off like right now with, if August is starting off with more so short side movement, that's also good for us, obviously. But at the same time, we are near all-time highs. So we want to either see short side movement the whole time or we want to see long movements, right? We do not want to see chop or consolidation. Right now, to be honest, I don't want to jinx it, but it is kind of setting itself up for kind of consolidation market in August. However, right, obviously it's a great start to the month, but we'll see how this kind of continues. Typically, we want to be a little bit more patient and really make sure that we're trading these A+ setups in August. So if you did catch this Tesla trade today, congrats, right? However, you still want to be cautious in August. You don't want to be as aggressive as the previous months. However, once again, we'll let the price action determine that. If the price action is like how it was today, it's a lot more easier to trade on. Most of these names, you got some sort of retest as well. But just want to, make sure that we're all, we remember that price action is what tells us how to enter and when not to enter. And the month, right, context is very important. And so this month, context is it's usually typically a choppier month with lower volume. So when we do take these trades, we want to make sure that we have extra confirmation for these trades when we do take them, similar to the Tesla trade that we took today, which I'll talk more about in the trade review later tonight as well.
Yeah, it's all based off volume, and August typically is slower volume month, but you can see the past 2 days, the most volume that we've had really within the past month was the last 2 days. I don't have volume on this chart, but that's what we have. Yeah, so a little bit of reaction here on the QQQ and SPY. You can see Tesla's pulling up here, most likely going to cut the rest if we close back above this 300. Yeah, I ended up closing the rest of my position. I had a very small trailer position left, but with kind of the Qs bouncing, met really my full main objective on the major indices. This one now bouncing with the overall market too. Yeah, super solid. Those cons move nicely over 100%.
With a nice kind of, move, even if it's to the short side, we'll take it, right? But with that being said, I hope some of you guys are able to catch this trade, and I will catch you guys later tonight for the trade review, and then I'll catch you guys next week as well for live trading. All right, so I'll catch you guys later. Bye, guys.
Yeah, that was a super solid push towards the downside, at least for the overall markets. You just like to see maintain underneath this down close candle that we have marked out, right? These down close candles for the SPY, if you want to see continuation lower. QQQ, you want to see it stay heavy underneath this 554. For Tesla, this one I want to see stay heavy underneath this 300, but this one most likely going to reverse now after a little bit of a bigger bounce. A lot of people always ask as well, like why we don't trade towards the short side is because the overall market's bullish. But today or yesterday, we identified, at least in the pre-market today, that momentum's starting to slow down here on the higher time frames, right? We're going to trade to both sides, right? We don't have a bias. You can see today offered really nice opportunity towards the downside on a lot of these names. And that's why, right, we come into the market with an open mind, but we just base it off of what the chart's telling us. If the chart's telling us we want short side, then we'll go short side. If the chart's telling us that we want to be looking for longs, then we'll look for longs. All right, you guys have any questions? Also, as well, everything's back to normal. If you guys don't already know, if you guys are new, we have pre-market preps every morning on YouTube, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We kind of laid out the full thesis this morning. Textbook, Tesla, 306 off of your previous day lows for continuation lower. Overall markets, we mentioned key levels for us was going to be that pre-market lows if we want to see some more downside. So super solid, just kind of building the logic and thesis, right? Also having conviction in order to hold for these type of moves, just because of, right, context and logic is always going to be very important. Let's see. Have a great weekend. Nice. What do you think about Apple for next week? Apple, we'll talk about Apple more. It doesn't really do anything. It's just consolidating earnings, consolidating here as well. Apple, I'm not sure if you're talking about the longer term or if you're talking about a potential day trade, but we end up just taking out your earnings low here. Do you trade FEGs on the higher time frames? No, FEGs, I use it for intraday just because there's a lot of gaps in the markets. So instead of, right, if the market's open 24 hours, you can use fair value gaps. But how we trade with like indices where there's market sessions, there's breaks. It's a lot harder to mark out fair value gaps. So we'll just use gaps, and then I prefer using order blocks. Hey, Jack, I know you cut the rush already, but why did Tony hold with that long 5-minute wick? Just because he's giving a little bit more room. He just has a very small portion left, but it's just way how to manage it, right? If you want to hold for a longer term, right? If you want to hold for a higher time frame thesis, then you're going to have to give it a little bit more room. In my opinion, right, 0 days, I don't have to give it that much room. I'm already fine. So once it showed a little bit of strength, I just ended up cutting my position. I had 2 cons on that trade. How would you have managed that? I would have sold on that first push down and towards that 301. That's why it's unfortunate. If you have 2 contracts, it would have been a little bit more trickier. 3 contracts would have been awesome because you can sell on this flush, sell down and towards, pre-market lows. You can sell into this 300 and you can sell down here. If you only have 2 contracts, maybe if you sold here and here, it's a little bit unfortunate because this move is where the contract started paying all the way down into this 298. So if you have 3 contracts, 1, 1, 1. If you have 2 contracts, it probably would have just been like your pre-market lows and then this right here, which it would have been unfortunate because you leave about, right, once this pop happens, that's when the contracts move like $2 a con. Even that's where you get that risk reward. So if you only have two, it's going to be a little bit unfortunate. Of course, if you have 2 to 3, that's a lot easier to manage. Solid day. What should I have done with $700 account? I can't scale properly today. I luckily hold 70%. Last night mistakenly bought Medic. Yeah, we always talk about it's very difficult if you have a small account. It's not really small account friendly just because you can only trade with one contract. There's nothing you can really do. It's just right. It's just based off math, right? If you have one contract, then it's just one exit, one entry, one exit. Whereas if you have options, right, the power of options is it doesn't move linear, it moves exponential. So you can see the contracts pay more as it gets further into the money. So that's the power of options, is like scaling and letting your winners run. That's the power of options. So if you only have one contract, then you don't really get that kind of benefit because you can only sell once. And you can't leave trailers. Is there a Trader Lab session this morning? The Traders Lab session was last night with me and Tony. We did a Q&A. This morning was a pre-market session that's done on YouTube. I'm looking to buy some Apple shares for long term. I think about 200 general area. What are your thoughts? Yeah, I like Apple. I bought some a while back. I'm still holding some. I do like Apple long term. It's a little bit slower. I'm not concerned about the time because Apple, right, this one, not really moving up with the overall market. It is going to take a while. So if you're worried about timing, then you might have to be in this for a while. But if you're not worried and you're just adding on major dips, then Apple's a good. I think it's closer to like that 200 SMA on the weekly. Great trade, TSLL, nice. I had 5 cons and average scale really good, nice. Which put should I have bought, the left or the right? I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. I missed the Traders Lab yesterday. How can I join the meeting? You can join. You can join it if you're in Traders Lab. If you're not, you can get more information in the announcements channel. For long term, you said you're buying when VIX is above 30. So yeah, you can see what we talk about. What we preach is when the VIX, look at the VIX spike. Right, when are day trades good? We always talk about this. When the VIX spikes, what does this mean? This means day trades are really good, right? Long terms are going to suffer because, right, the VIX is spiking. More uncertainty. More uncertainty means more opportunity. So day trades, right? Look at the opportunity today compared to the last couple of days or the last few weeks, right? The amount of volatility and the continuation we've had in the period of time we've had is very quick because the VIX spiked. Now it's over 20. Whereas if we're underneath 20, it usually means, right, there's less uncertainty, right? Up into a couple of days ago, right, the market very bullish, right? Look at this huge pullback on the overall markets, right? We kind of identified this even this morning and even kind of yesterday was, okay, this is very high volume, right? There's a potential for a reversal. So now we're going to be a lot more open to playing what? The short side. Look at this volume right here if we're looking at this. This is a complete outlier. This is the most volume we've had in the past, I'd say almost like a month. You can see right here, yesterday, first day where we had outlier volume. This is a sign where reversal can happen, right? High, right? Doge or whatever, this candlestick formation, right? Loss of momentum on the daily time frame, high volume, potential for a reversal on the overall market. So that's why we're very keen and okay, right? We're opening to playing downside today just because of all those things that I outlined. And we'll talk about this a little bit more with the pre-market preps. Now you guys can be more prepared coming to market open. As I mentioned, right, it was very hectic the past couple of weeks just because we were away, right? There was a lot of news to kind of digest with earnings, with Red Folder, and we weren't really kind of there just because of all the other issues. But now we're going to be back to just the regular scheduled program. So you guys will have a lot more, at least a higher time frame perspective and understand it from a logic and thesis kind of point of view instead of, right, just looking for patterns in itself, right? We can use logic and thesis to build a more higher probability setup. Let me scroll down here. Let me check out the Zoom chat. I have a contract for Apple today and Amazon for next week. What would you recommend me to do? It just depends what your trading thesis is or your trading plan. For Apple, this one, it doesn't really look like it's doing too much. Amazon, similar thing. This one, big drop coming to market open with bad earnings. It's gonna recover, but it might take a little bit more time than a week. I'll give it a little bit more room just because now the overall market flipping bearish here as well. Makes me feel better about my two concepts where I scale. Yeah, exactly. Your split, those are the exact scale areas, right? We trade with a lot of cons, so we're able to kind of pyramid out, right? Scale along the way. But if you only have two, right, there's only just key levels. So it'd be this 301 and this 300. With the downside move this aggressive in the opening day of this month, how important is the candle? If you get a long lower wick before the end of the day, do you refocus back on upside? So now the momentum starts slowing down. So there's no clear thesis. So we're going to be trading coming into the day, looking for longs and shorts since the higher time frames has slowed down. Whereas when markets are pushing higher, right, it's going to be very hard to short, right? Everyone that's shorting here, right? Everyone always asks me, it's like, oh, why don't I short? Because the market's bullish. Why would I short if the market's bullish and it's continuing to show strength? But yesterday was the first day I was like, okay, now I'm going to be a lot more selective. That doesn't mean I'm bearish, but now I'm going to be more selective to playing the short side because of this big volume, the loss of momentum here, breaking underneath its previous candle, right? This is a clear sign of loss of momentum is when the previous candle breaks underneath, right? You can see whole push towards the upside. We did not get a single down close candle underneath its previous candle. And that's just showing strength. So yesterday was the first day. Now we're just going to be open to play more to both sides, right? With the VIX spiking here, that just means that, right, it's going to be a lot less. There's going to be more fear in the market. So now we can play to both sides, right? Upside and downside. We're not going to have a bias. So we'll come into the day, whatever the market wants to tell us. That's what we'll do. Solid trade, good way to start the month. Yes. Why didn't we trade Apple and ride? Why didn't we trade and ride Apple rather than to Apple? You could have been looking for Apple, but there's not really a setup, right? This one earnings in the middle, right? No retest that was possible. You could have been looking for Apple maybe if you were looking for a different setup, maybe the opening range break, but Tesla really solid retest right off our 5-minute opening range. That's the setup we use. 5-minute. This also happened to be, I think, the 15-minute as well, right? Just setups that we use every single day. Y'all need to attend the pre-market preps and the weekly recaps with Jack. The weekend recap is like a one-on-one. You can ask and expect more in-depth answers. I did this for 1 year and now only attend the pre-market to see if it aligns with what I'm seeing. Invest in the time, study, don't FOMO. Exactly. That's why I do it to begin with. Most people, they'll just come into the room, look for signals. And even if you can get into the same trade, right, that doesn't mean you're going to hold to, right, have conviction because you don't understand the thesis. But that's why I do the pre-market preps. They're an hour. It's doing that. I literally repeat the same things over and over again, but it's just about building that logic and thesis. And you'll see if you join those sessions for a month or two, right? I usually recommend if you join it every single day for a month or two, understand what I'm building in the pre-market. You don't have to stay there. After that, it's usually just repeating. So it's just understanding my thesis. But once you understand it, then you can develop your own pre-market plan. And then you can just see if it aligns with mine coming into the day. You just watch like a quick 3-minute video that I post instead of watching the full 1 hour. But when you first start out, I recommend staying there for at least 1 to 2 months for those morning sessions. Mr. Trio, okay, let's see that. Trying to copy on low probability. Tony said yesterday, you recognize them. Is it when the cues are opening range? Low probability days is just the overall context of the market, understanding where we are in relation to, right, its previous day's range. Is there any news, right? What's going on in the overall higher time frames? There's a lot of things. We'll talk about that a little bit more and how do I digest that. Today's my first Traders Lab, something I have access to. Yes, you'll have access to that trade. Use daily to set key support and resistance. All right. Awesome. Yeah, if you guys don't have any more questions, I'm going to call it a day here. Not really interested in looking at the rest of the market. You can see perfect bounce right off the levels we talked about. So you can see overall SPY, right, bounce off of our, hold up. Let me get rid of this. You can see overall markets bouncing perfectly right off that 552 key level of demand. For SPY, perfect touch right off our 620 here as well. You can see basically rode that nice push all the way down and towards that key level, which was perfect. Now you can see overall markets, mean reversion. So don't really expect too much the rest of the day. For tomorrow, if you guys are new here as well, we'll have that the recap. We'll go over, it'll probably just be a Q&A because I missed the past few weeks, but that's going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we'll just go over any of the trades that I took or any questions that you may have. You can just bring them tomorrow. It'll just be a more in-depth recap. So any of the questions that you do have, that's going to be at tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's see. I see some people asking about Traders Lab as well. You can see, you can book a call to see if you're a good fit. That is in the announcements channel. Which account should I get connected to trade? We personally use IBKR, so we don't connect it to TradingView. We just use that as a charting platform. Do you think Tesla can stay above 300? We'll see how it closes today, but most likely on the higher time frames, it probably is going to it's going to try and close above 300 just based off the daily chart. You can see this is going to be key. Right, this low, it's probably going to try and defend this 300 key cycle level. So I'd assume Tesla is going to close above 300 today, unless the market has another huge flush towards the downside. But yeah, that is going to be it for me today. Hope you guys had a good day today. We'll have a weekly recap tomorrow, and I think that's about it. As for my YouTube video, I didn't have one this week, but I'm going to start posting them on Saturdays. So that's going to be Saturdays, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But yeah, that's going to be it for me today. I hope you guys have a great rest of the weekend. Everything is back to normal, and I will see.
All right, everyone. So the live replay will be available ASAP. Really quickly, for those of you who might be new to this live, let me share with you the information so you can catch up with Jax. I really recommend checking his pre-market preps because that's what I've used since the latter part of April to learn how to chart and read, and he uses very simple language to explain it. And then it's just a matter of rinsing and repeating. So if you don't know his channel, I can't say the name because TikTok flagged me earlier this morning for saying a social media platform. And so let me just pull it up on the screen. Give me just a second. So those of you who may not be in the free community already, this is Jack, and you can catch him. You can catch his pre-market preps every day, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern. Okay, all you have to do is just click on the playlist or the live, and you can catch all the pre-market preps. I highly recommend it. He goes over including the tech stocks, the indices, SPY and QQQ. In my Tesla, but if you want to learn how to chart, he goes over that in every single pre-market prep, and he goes over quite a few tickers as well. So I would highly recommend checking that out if you have the opportunity. But you can always catch the replay because these are recorded. So all you have to do is just go to the live channel. My mentor is this guy. And he has a very, very beginner-friendly sorry, I got a phone call coming in. He has a very beginner-friendly playlist for new traders. All right, so I've been recommending a few people to go and watch. He has 22 videos here, right? 22 videos. But I would recommend watching the first 1 to 6 videos. So watch the first 6 videos, and then you can reach out to me if you need me to help close the knowledge gap. All right. So just let me know if you have any questions. Those of you in the free community you already have access to this information. So with that said, I don't have anything else. Let me see if there's any questions. Let me know if you have any questions in the live chat right now. Let's see. LJ, what's up, man? You said today was the only one that Jack posted this week from what I saw. Yeah, because they were in Dubai on business and they were having internet trouble. So, yeah, that's what I said today. And on forward, we'll be back to normal. The other thing I'd recommend is they do a Q&A every week on Saturdays. So if you all are interested in checking that out, and if you have like questions, because all of the newbies This is how I was able to learn so quickly, right? As you can see, that I pointed out in my, in my journal. In my journal, if I go to stats here and I pull up this equity curve, you can see I started at their mentorship at the latter part of April. And I did have, as I was going through the learning experience, right? So I was down as low as, what was it, 3,300? Yeah, I think that was the lowest. Oh, 3,400 was the lowest. And then right in June, like Jack just said, he said, all you have to do is spend like a couple of months. It should literally take like two, because it's just going to be rinse and repeat. And that's exactly what I did. And you can see I took off right after that. So in June, this is when I made 8 point, from June to July, this is when I started making, money consistently with each trade. All right. So yeah. What was I saying? I forgot what I was saying, man. What did you actually say, LJ? Oh yeah. Because they had so they were in Dubai on business. They had internet difficulties, so they said everything will be back to normal from today forward. All right. Let's see. LJ said, "Okay, understood." Yeah. So if you all have any questions, oh, that's what I was saying. I forgot. Yo, I'm telling y'all, man, my mind, man. Listen. Oh man, I'm not even gonna get into that. But every Saturday they go through this Q&A for like an hour and a half, and it will really solidify the concept. All right, it will really solidify these concepts. So if you all are interested in checking that out, I just let me know and I'll consider going live for that as well. Or the second option is for me to kind of record it and then just offer a replay so anyone can, watch it at their convenience and learn at their pace, right? But yeah. Queen says, "What's up, Queen? How you doing?" I'm down over 2K now after this week, hoping to make it back coming weeks. Yeah, so continue to tap in. I would highly recommend practicing with the paper money, because as they mentioned before, this is one. I'm glad that you mentioned this, because this is the one thing that I wanted to emphasize or highlight. Right, is that in their own community, in their mentorship community, they often repeat not jumping into trades just based on their signal alone, because you won't have the necessary understanding or conviction. But yeah, so once you shore up your knowledge and understanding of how this works, yeah, you will begin just like I did. You see my equity curve, Queen. You see my equity curve. And then once all the concepts started to make sense, then I just took off. So yeah, it's definitely possible. Let's see. Paper money, I do so good, and then real money somehow does the opposite. Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that too, because are you tracking your trades in a journal? Are you tracking your trades in a journal? This is critical. This is very critical. Why? Let's talk about that. All right. Let's take a minute. Let's take 3 minutes and talk about this. All right. Tracking your performance is critical. Let me show you. If I go to let's see. Let's go to this year, right? Let's go to this year. Yeah, let me show you why, Queen. This is really because when you start to lose, I'm going to give you the simple explanation first, and then I'm going to show you in my journal. Okay. If you start to lose trades, right, that first loss could start to mess with your psyche, right? All traders, all new traders, and those who are experienced has gone through this, right? You lose that first trade, especially if it's a bigger loss than what you expected. It can start to begin to mess with your psyche, like plant that seed. if you start to experience sequential losses, right? Like back to back, like a streak of losses, maybe, 3, 4 losses in a row, that will really, really, really can mess with your mind, right? It can really mess with your mental when trading. And then you start to like really struggle when it in terms of confidence. And the reason why I recommend, there is a difference, and I think I understand exactly what you mean, Queen, because there is a difference between trading with paper money that's not your own, right? You don't feel connected to it, right? There's a disconnect, and you can feel it, and there's a distinct feeling there when trading with paper money versus your real money, right? But let me tell you what you're doing when paper money with paper money versus your real money, right? What you're doing on the paper money side is developing confidence in the strategy itself. You're developing confidence in the strategy itself. Okay. Um, it's not going to feel the same when you're trading with paper money versus live money, right? Yeah, exactly. Revenge trading, exactly. Because once you start to lose a little bit of money, the next thing in your mind that occurs is the thought to go chase after the next trade. And that's what you're doing when what you're practicing with paper on the paper side of things is you're practicing to build confidence in the strategy. And you're journaling that so you can see what you're doing correctly and what you're doing incorrectly. All right, that's key. And the numbers in your journal is going to help show you so you're not deceiving yourself mentally, because a lot of people deceive themselves into believing, yeah, I'm doing okay, I'm doing fine, but you don't have the numbers, you don't have the data, to confirm that. Let me show you in my journal really quickly. Everyone, just give me 1 second. Let me show you all. If I jump over to let's see here, let me stretch this out. Let me stretch this out a little bit. All right. I'm going to go to, let me switch to the dashboard really quickly. Okay. I want to show you all something. If you're not journaling your trades, if you're not consistently journaling your trades, how do you know how many times you're winning versus how many times you're losing? Okay. And how do you know what the percentage is? And then when you're losing, how do you know what the average dollar amount is if you're not tracking consistently? And how do you know what the average dollar amount is for your wins? Okay. Now for me, it's very systematic, right? The approach I've learned since this, right? Look at this. Like I said, I went as low as 3,400 in this phase. I was doing well when I first began in April, but then I started to drop in May. May was a tough month for me, right? And what I learned is I was staying in positions too long, and I was risking more than what my average loss, or excuse me, my average dollar win was. Okay, so I didn't want to risk no more than what I could recover in one day. And once I did that, you can see once I made that subtle change, look at the consistency at which I began to, continue my win streaks. And when I lose, I don't lose more than this. I don't lose more than this now. All right. Because you have to look at this data. Another thing is, let me show you something else because this is really critical. If I go to the last 3 months, and then I'm gonna pause and see if you guys have any questions, right? Look at the profit factor for the last 3 months. I tapped on the tab. Then I'm gonna show you last month, and then I'm gonna click on this month. Look at the profit factor, 1.8, 1.82. 1.82. Okay. The goal is 2 or greater. All right. For every dollar that I risk, I want to make $2 in return. Right. If I go to last month, look at the profit factor, 2.38. If I go to this month, oh, Sorry. This was July. So this was July, and then this was July for the profit factor, all right? So you can see if I switch to the entire year, my profit factor is 1.35 for the year. Why? Because of the month of May. But you can see I can look back to July and see that I'm doing the correct things according to my strategy. I'm entering the correct trades. I'm managing my risk properly because the month of July is showing me this. I have confirmation of that. The strategy, the breakout and retest strategy, the win rate should be 60% or greater. 60% or greater. Look at my win rate for the month of July. And I can see my win streaks and my loss streaks. So I'm keeping those to a minimum, right? My top loss was no greater than $591 in July. My top win, this is why I continue to earn, profits, is because of this. My top win, I'm making more money than I'm losing money, right? That's the goal, right? So, and you can see it will keep this data. It will keep this data, and that's what you can have as confirmation. Are you doing the correct things, or are you, kind of like in our minds, we can kind of deceive ourselves and be like, no, I feel like I'm fine. I feel like I'm good. I don't feel like there's any problem. But let's see. Queen says, yes, I feel that your lower price contracts are always in the money or right under the 1 or 2 out the money. Yeah, so this is it's well out the money, right? Like those cheaper Delta contracts, they will be like maybe on average like $10, maybe like $10 out the money. Let's see, small changes for more gains. I will apply that. Yeah, definitely. Your journal will help you see. I had a friend that was trading for 5 years, and he would have like these huge gains, like but then he'd lose it. And I asked him, and I said, well, why? Are you journaling your trades? And he wasn't consistently journaling. And so for me, I don't know for everyone else, but for me, I need to see data. The data tells me that I'm doing the proper things or the improper things. So that's what I use. I like to see data. That gives me more confidence in the strategy itself. And then I can enter trades confidently knowing, given the past results. Queen says, Brilliant says, I definitely need to start journaling. Yeah, Brilliant. That's like the biggest thing. The biggest thing is staying consistent. And when you journal, let me show you all really quickly. When you journal your wins and your losses, right? Don't make notes for both. So when I journal, even on the wins, this was a green trade, but even on the winning trades, I talk about, just a brief note of what I did. This position reached blah, 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 but I sold 12 immediately. So, I talked about, so this way I can go back and reflect and see what was I thinking during this trade. And so when you have your win streaks or your losing streaks, you can say, oh, well, I did this. And so maybe I need to, make sure I'm not doing this thing. Like my big problem, let me tell you all my big problem right now. My big problem still is not sticking to my stop loss limit. All right. You notice my, the bigger loss in July was over 500, but I wanted to keep it to below, 400. But I still allowed it to get above that 500 mark. And why is that important? Because I'm not going to keep taking these lower delta contract trades. Next month is going to be my final month because this was for everyone else. My goal is to continue to take positions of 10K up to 50K, right? But I can't go in making those mistakes with that type of position, right? Because the losses could become too great and that can affect my psyche. And I don't want to do that. So I have to, this month of August, I have to be, consistent with sticking to my stop loss limit. And once I see that, then I will switch over to the larger positions. Let's see. Quinn says, every time I watch your live, I learn something new and apply it. Thank you so much. It's so very welcome, Queen. I am very, very glad that you're finding value in these live sessions. I realize I get too greedy when I see the percentage just going up. Yep. Yep. Put that in your journal. Put that in your journal. So every week you can look back and see, man, why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep doing this? Right? Brilliant says, got it. I'm going to apply what you've advised about journaling. Yeah, thank you. Brilliant. Do that. You'll see it's going to be a huge help. And then just keep tapping in, obviously, and you'll see how quickly the results will show in your performance. Well, I don't have anything else. This replay will be available. Let me go ahead and stop the recording. I don't have anything else. If you all don't have any other questions, we can go ahead and end the live. I will make this replay available right now. Okay, I'm going to upload it to the proper folder for those of you in the free community already, and then you can watch it. I don't have all the timestamps, but there's a few, right? There's a few. All right, so do you all have any other questions? If not, we're good. Everyone's good to drop. Let's see. Brilliant says, thanks. May this weekend bring large sums of money to everyone from known and unknown sources. Peace. I love that. Appreciate you, Brilliant. Highland Child Creation says, amen. Indeed. LJ, definitely interested in checking it out, the Q&A on Saturday, live or replay. Okay, cool. I got you all. Let's see. Thank you for your time. Queen says, you're welcome, Queen. LJ, thanks for everything. Enjoy your weekend. You too, LJ. We love you so much. You're a blessing. Thank you, Queen. I love you all. So, man, let's get it. Let's do it. All right, y'all. Till Saturday. If I don't go live, I will have that replay. That's a promise. All right. If I don't go live for that Q&A with Jack, I will have the replay and make it available that day. All right, tomorrow. Okay. All right, everyone. Love y'all. See y'all later.